Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. Before we begin, I'd like to review a few meeting logistics. All attendees are in a listen-only mode. If you'd like to ask a question, please type it in the chat window at any time. I'll address questions as we go, as well as have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I'll also be asking a polling question or two during the webinar so that we can all get a small snapshot of the group participating today. You can use your chat box to respond to those as well. In addition, a recorded copy of this webinar will be available online should you have to leave early or should you want to share the webinar with others. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Kelly Coleman, and I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Public Relations for the Medical School for International Health, or MSIH. I am based in New York City, where our admissions office is located. In terms of agenda, we're going to begin with a brief overview of global health, then cover more specific information about the Medical School for International Health. We'll finish by discussing the admissions process. Global health is the cornerstone of MSIH, as MSIH is a unique medical school that incorporates global health coursework and clinical work into all 4 years of the medical school curriculum. Prior to discussing global health in a little more detail, I want to conduct a brief poll regarding your knowledge of global health. So by responding in your chat box, what do you think is the focus of global health? And you can type in A, B, C, D, or E. If you answered all the above, you are correct. Global health is similar to public and international health, but at the same time it is distinct. It not only focuses on populations and prevention, but also on individual curative health care. In addition, it concerns itself with both domestic and cross-border issues. The focus is domestic as well as international, and global health is truly interdisciplinary. Global health itself has transformed over the past decades. And while it is still concerned with helping third world country populations, global health is important locally as well. Right here in North America, there are diverse patient populations, and having training in global health helps physicians treat these diverse patient populations. In addition, the world is more interconnected than ever before, and diseases that were once more localized travel quickly across the globe, making a global health education and training more important than ever before. By studying global health alongside other disciplines such as epidemiology and ethics, students receive a very well-rounded training. Studying global health is important as it prepares physicians to address the health of individuals and communities within the context of cultural, political, economic, and technological factors that affect the health of individuals as well as populations. Physicians who study global health are prepared to treat diverse patient populations, be culturally sensitive, and take into account different economic and social determinants of health. Studying global health gives a doctor the clinical skills and medical knowledge to put patients first, whether it's in a humanitarian emergency, a refugee clinic, a world-class medical center, or a local medical practice. So what is the Medical School for International Health? MSIH was established in 1996 as an English language track at Ben-Gurion University in Negev and is affiliated with Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons. Global health coursework and clinical work is integrated into all 4 years of the MD program. At MSIH, students gain the training necessary to practice medicine while meeting the challenges of global health, thereby making a real impact locally as well as internationally. MSIH students spend the first 3 years of study in Beersheba, Israel. Then they go on to conduct fourth-year clinical electives at Columbia University Medical Center here in New York City and other institutions in the United States and Canada. Year 1 and Year 2 consist of courses in basic medical sciences and body systems, very similar to the core curriculum of most medical schools. What is unique is that this coursework is coupled with modules in global health, a year-long introduction to global health course, and an emergency medicine course. Modules vary depending upon what's going on in the world of medicine, but include topics such as human nutrition, neglected tropical diseases, health of the urban poor, migrant health, malaria, birth as a human rights issue, and even medical clowning. All courses are taught in English, and we teach Hebrew in years 1 and 2, so that by the third year clinical rotation, students have a strong foundation in Hebrew. Something unique to MSIH is that beginning in year 1, students have weekly global health and medicine clinic days. So from the start, they're working with patients from all different cultural and economic backgrounds. Beersheba itself is a melting pot within Israel, and students get to treat patients from all different religious and ethnic backgrounds, including treating North African refugees, Bedouins, Jews, Christians, and Muslims. There's a large migrant worker population that they treat and a large Russian immigrant population. Many of the patients they treat have little or no money, and some have very little access to health care. During these clinic days, they often interact with patients who do not speak the same language. They do not speak English or Hebrew, and they learn a lot about cultural sensitivity in medicine. Specifically, what's appropriate to ask one patient may be offensive to another, and this training is really invaluable. Through the training our students receive, they're prepared to address the economic, political, environmental, and cultural issues that impact the health of individuals and populations. At the end of year 2, students take the USMLE just as they would if they were attending medical school in the States. And we really do prepare our students very well in terms of required USMLE prep courses, study time, things like that. So they do very well on those boards. Year 3 and 4 are devoted to the required core clinical clerkships, electives, and clinical selectives. Also in year 3, students participate in a cross-cultural communication global health skills workshop. Third year rotations are done at Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, which is a state-of-the-art medical center in Israel. And this provides students with the opportunities for clinical experience in a hospital setting within the Israeli healthcare system, which, while it's very similar to that of the US, does have some unique differences as well. Ways they present patients to their colleagues, note-taking styles, obviously managed care, different things like that that are different there. In year 4, students come primarily to New York City, where they take electives at Columbia University Medical Center and its affiliates. We also have affiliations with Mount Sinai and Hofstra, where students can do electives in the US. In addition, we have a full-time New York-based electives coordinator who helps students who want to do electives elsewhere. Most of our students will do probably 2 rotations at Columbia, and then some maybe at Sinai or Hofstra or other, like I said, other hospitals all over the United States and Canada. For example, we have students from both Canada and California, quite a few every year, who may be interested in returning there for residency. Our electives coordinator assists these students in obtaining electives in other locations. It's important if you want to go back to do residency, say in California, to go do an elective there or 2 electives there. So that's where our elective coordinator comes in. She assists the students in doing that. 4th year students complete about 5 one-month elective rotations. During 4th year electives in the States, doing the 4th year electives in the States is key in terms of residency placement. And it also allows our students to be in the States logistically while they're going on their residency interviews. But really completing these elective rotations at such prestigious medical centers in the US speaks to both the caliber of our program and the caliber of our students. Also in the 4th year, so our 4th year students just completed these, they're the 8-week global health clinical clerkships. This is the capstone experience in which students do a 2-month clinical rotation, ideally in a developing or third world country. This exposure allows for the practical application of all the theoretical knowledge they've gained in the previous 3.5 years of study to different cultural and ethnic groups who are working under really varied conditions. These clerkships allow students to see things they would not necessarily see in North America or in Israel. In India, for instance, sometimes the students hike up to rural villages and bring the health care directly to the villagers who may not otherwise come down to receive medical care. In the Philippines, where herbal medicines are an integral part of the healthcare system, students must learn to be careful to not impose their Western views of medicine on a different culture. So these clerkships are a wonderful, unique opportunity to experience medicine and healthcare in a completely different culture. And we do our best to match the interests of the students to the various sites available. As you can see, these are some of the sites we have available. It varies year to year, but there's usually at least 4 or 5 sites available. This year, students went to India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Ghana, and Peru were the sites that they got to choose from this year. So now that they've completed their studies and rotations at MSIH, where do they do their residencies? Graduates are prepared to do their residency in the United States and Canada, and we're very excited because last week was match week. And we had a 100% match rate, which was really exciting for us and for our students. Really speaks, like I said, to the caliber of our students. And in terms of where they're doing residency, as you can see, they're doing it at highly prestigious medical centers in the United States. They were offered residency placement at Case Western, Cedars-Sinai in California, NYU, University of Chicago Medical Center, University of Connecticut, University of Maryland, University of Virginia, and that's just to name a few. Oftentimes, not only am I talking about that they're getting into prestigious medical centers, but they're getting into their first choice. Hospitals or medical centers that are geographically where they want to be or have a specialty that they really want to focus on. So they're really getting into not only prestigious medical centers, but oftentimes their first choice. So I do want to show this video here before I highlight a few of our other alumni as well, just to kind of see what they're doing and get a glimpse of what life is like after MSIH. I'm going to start here with this video of a recent graduate. Her name is Virginia Byron.
My name is Virginia Byron, and I'm a fourth-year student at the Medical School for International Health at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev in Beersheba, Israel. I'm originally from Alexandria, Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., and I graduated from Princeton University in 2010 with a major in evolutionary biology, and I'm also a dancer. And I just matched to Tulane University Pediatrics in New Orleans, and I'll be heading there in just a couple of weeks. I first heard about MSIH from an alum of the program who I was working with in a lab in Boston at the time. I was a lab tech and she was finishing her fellowship. And so when I read the mission statement of MSIH and saw that their approach to global health is really one of public health and social determinants of health and figuring out what in society and outside of the walls of the clinic and hospitals are affecting disease process, that really caught my interest. And so I applied and I got in, and I knew I was in for an adventure. One of the topics that I'm really interested in is nutrition and the prevention of non-communicable diseases. And I happened to find out about a program happening here in the Negev in the Bedouin population, which has been experiencing a rise in non-communicable diseases in the past, over the past 50 years or so. It's leading to very high rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. And there is a school lunch program that's being run by Bedouin women for Bedouin children, providing jobs and educational opportunities for the women, and it's reintroducing the traditional Bedouin diet into the Bedouin schools. And so that's something that a classmate and I explored a little bit, and we presented a poster on the business model, social business. So it also provided a lot of funding back into community organizations, which was really fascinating to me. I think the real value of the MSIH experience is definitely the people and the diversity of experiences and perspectives that my classmates bring here. And we all come here, everyone's looking for an adventure. It's definitely not something that you can get from a global health track that's kind of done in the US, for example. And that's definitely something that I would recommend having if you're interested at all in a career in global health.
If you go on to YouTube and just type in MSIH videos, there's videos from some of our other students up there. Louisa is a current fourth-year student. Jenna Meyer is a second-year student now. There's one from Jonah Cohen. So there's a few of them up there that you can look at. Move on to the next slide. This slide again highlights Virginia, but also Jonah, both of whom are doing residency at Tulane this year, along with another MSIH alumni. So last year, 3 of our students went to Tulane to do residency. Tulane has a big global health program, specifically tropical medicine department there. And you can kind of just read what they say about MSIH. Christy Hadley here also graduated from MSIH, and she's currently doing her residency in emergency medicine at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She's a graduate of Loyola University in New Orleans, and I'll just give you a moment to read their comments. So I haven't updated this with this year's residency match information since that's all just coming in fresh this week. But as you can see here, this is last year's residency match placements and what different specialties our students did their residencies in. Many of them are in primary care fields such as pediatrics, family medicine, internal medicine, and OB-GYN. But students do specialize in various fields as well, such as neurosurgery, radiology, anesthesiology. A full accounting of all residency placements is available on our website. So if you go there, you can see each year where the students matched and in what specialties. So that's a great tool to look at if you're interested in a particular place or a particular specialty. So now with this slide, I do want to mention that our first year students blog, and they blog about everything from grocery shopping to social life in Beersheba to classes and to clinical experiences. So I'm going to take a moment to share with you a few excerpts from the blogs. The first blog, which I'll give you a moment to read, is from a current student and Cornell alumnus, Chelsea Powell, and it was written at the end of her first year. So I'll give you a moment to read that. Chelsea comments on the philosophy and the values that MSIH embodies. Our MD program is taught by experienced physicians, most of whom have personal involvement in global health. And together, they're dedicated to preparing a new generation of doctors who have a comprehensive view of healthcare around the world and who really want to improve the quality of patient care. In the second paragraph, she also just talks about the diverse patient populations that our students treat and really the sanctuary that Soroka Medical Center is. The next blog is written by a current second-year student, Winterim. She's a Ghana native and graduate of Calvin College, and I'll give you a moment to read that. Winty writes about the small, close-knit community that MSIH is. We realize that by attending MSIH, students are taken out of their comfort zone. However, with that said, the students bond quickly with each other, with older students, with Israeli student liaisons, and with faculty. Students are assigned current students as mentors, and each student is connected with a host family, usually the family of a faculty member at MSIH or BGU. Many are invited over for holidays, and it just provides another means of support while the students are there. The atmosphere at MSIH is very supportive and collaborative. Winty also comments on research opportunities at MSIH. MSIH has a research faculty advisor who helps students interested in research and connects them with appropriate faculty members and other students who may be interested in similar research. Possibly next year, if not the following year, we're also adding on a research track into our program as well. So MSIH and BGU do provide a very rich student life. MSIH is a small school within a large university. As I mentioned, MSIH is a close-knit community of students and faculty. But at the same time, students, by studying medicine abroad, really have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to immerse themselves in the rich culture of Israel, experience other new cultures, and to learn in medical school about international cultures and different things like that. It's a great opportunity for them to travel as well. So prior to discussing a few more specifics about MSIH and admissions, I want to make a few comments about Beersheba and Ben-Gurion University. Beersheba is the 4th largest city in Israel, and the student population there has tripled in the past 10 years. 1 in 8 residents of Beersheba is a student, making it a vibrant young city. It's a rapidly growing city. In fact, many alumni who come back just a few years later cannot believe the transformation and growth in the city. Beersheba has become Israel's cybersecurity hub, creating a technological boom within the city. There's so much to do, from shopping to restaurants to theaters. In addition, Israel is really an easy country to travel around. It's not that big. So Jerusalem and Tel Aviv are a short 1-hour train ride away, and the train stops right on campus. I also want to mention a few specific things about BGU. BGU is the fastest growing university in Israel with about 20,000 students. It's been rated #1 by undergraduates for student experience in Israel. So I would say, if your thoughts on what a typical college campus is in the US, Ben-Gurion University is Israel's closest thing to that. It's really a typical campus life. BGU is an exciting, top-notch university in a vibrant college city. So now I want to return to just discussing a few more of our alumni, just so you can see what they're doing now after residency. We talked about ones that were in residency, but now ones that are out of residency. Do they stay involved in global health? We did do a study of our first 5 graduating classes, which indicated that 80% of MSIH alumni are still involved in one or more aspects of global health. Many go into private practice, a hospital setting, and so forth, but stay involved with the organizations they worked with while at MSIH. In addition, as I mentioned, they treat very diverse patient populations here. They treat underserved patient populations in the States or in Canada or worldwide for that matter. Some students choose to go into the policy side of medicine, such as LaShawn Worsley. She's from the class of 2014, and she's the Director of Public Policy and Strategic Alliances at the American Diabetes Association. We have alumni who work for the NIH, the CDC, the WHO, various organizations like that as well. Here I want to highlight Jonah Mink. He's a graduate of the class of 2012. And while at MSIH, like many students, he volunteered in a migrant workers clinic that had no patient tracking system. So Jonah and a fellow MSIH student set up a patient tracking system that is still used in that clinic today. And this is really just one example of how MSIH students make a difference during their training. He finished his residency, I should say, in family medicine at the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania, and he's currently practicing in the Philadelphia area. The next alumni I want to highlight is Rachel Pope, who has her MD and MPH degree, which is not an uncommon occurrence at MSIH. Some students come to us with an MPH degree. Some students get it while they're with us. They'll take a year between their 3rd and 4th year typically and get an MPH degree. I believe we have 2 or 3 current 3rd year students who took that year between 3rd and 4th year to pursue their MPH, and then will come back in their 4th year. So that's not uncommon as well. Or some will even get it after they graduate in residency. Rachel is a global women's health fellow in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Baylor Medical College and had spent 2 years in Malawi in a fellowship. Now she is an assistant professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Baylor Medical College and spends a lot of her time when she's not in Texas in Malawi. So she does spend quite a bit of time in Malawi still. Before discussing our student profile, I do want to pause here, ask if anybody has any questions that I can answer. Here's one. Are students eligible for federal loans? Yes. U.S. students are eligible for federal loans, just as if they were going to school in the States. They apply through FAFSA and get their loans that way. So yes, that is an option. Okay, that's it for now, so I'm going to continue. So our student profile, there is no typical MSIH student, but I do get asked these questions all the time, so I am going to provide you with just our average numbers in terms of scores and what we're looking for a little bit in the admissions process. So besides, first of all, our students are very active volunteers. They tend to be very enthusiastic about volunteering their time, working with different underserved populations, working within the medical community, or working within various other organizations that they volunteer their time to, which is something that's very important to us. In terms of academics, the average MCAT last year was a 509, the previous year was a 506, and the average GPA was a 3.5 last year, the previous year was a 3.6. And I do mention those numbers because admissions is competitive. We enroll between 35 and 40 students a year, and we look at those numbers because we want our students to succeed. Medical school is challenging, and we want the students to be able to handle the academic rigors associated with it. At the same time, at the cornerstone of MSIH is treating underserved populations, so we do place an emphasis on volunteer work, which I mentioned. And we have students who do research as well, which is great. Really, my suggestion to you here is do what you're passionate about. Do what interests you, not just to check off boxes on your medical school application. Many of our students have an interest in public or global health, and about 1/3 are non-science majors. In terms of where our students come from, they really do come from all over the world. Well, most of our students are from the US. We do have about 20% of our students from Canada. In fact, Dr. Richard Deckelbaum, who's one of the founders of our program, is a graduate of McGill University, and the current director of our program, Dr. Mark Clarfield, is a graduate of the University of Toronto Medical Center. So we do have many students from Canada, but also from countries all over the world, as you can see here. I know we have students currently from South Korea, from Ghana, from South Africa, from the UK, from China, Australia, and I can go on. That's just to name a few of them. So prior to closing and discussing the admissions process, I do want to hear a comment as well about our scholarships. There are merit-based scholarships available. This year we awarded the first Ben-Gurion Global Health Scholarship, which is a full tuition 4-year scholarship for one person, and it's based on their academics as well as their commitment to global health, demonstrated commitment to global health. The information on that, on who won that this year, can be found on our website. To be considered for that scholarship, which will be again offered next year, there will be a deadline typically in the beginning of January to be considered for that scholarship. But you can kind of read the profile of the person, Shayna, who won it this year, which we are very excited for her. We also have other scholarships available. Luckily, there's a huge interest in global health, so we do have donors who have provided us with funds, additional funds for scholarship. And I would say the vast majority of our students get some sort of scholarship funding. Some may be much smaller amounts, but it really varies, and some are 1-year scholarships, some are 4-year scholarships, so it does really run the gamut. So with that, I'm going to pause. If there's any other questions regarding admissions, I will handle them now. If not, then I will just close and provide you with some more information. Next question, are we still accepting applications for this cycle? Yes, we are. Our class is already fairly full. With that said, we are still accepting applications for this year. We usually completely fill our class by the beginning of May, so we will be accepting applications through then. If you are taking the MCAT in April, that is really the last date you can take it and still get scores to us so that your application can be evaluated for this year. Students start classes in mid to late July, so there's really, we can't extend it beyond that. And usually by then, like I said, our class is full anyway. We open up the application every year, July 1st, for the next year's applicants. I don't see any more questions here, so I am going to conclude, mention a few things about the application process. As I mentioned, applications are reviewed on a rolling basis. We don't have a deadline. We usually fill our class by the beginning of May. Priority consideration for scholarship is given to those people who apply early. If you're waiting on a certain thing, you can feel free to submit your materials ahead of time. So you want to send in your application and send in your letters of recommendation or transcripts, all those things while you're waiting on MCAT scores. That is absolutely fine. We will just hold it in a file for you. Likewise, if you're working on your application but want to get your transcripts and letters of recommendation, things you don't have control over, in as soon as possible, go ahead and do that, and we'll just hold it in a file until we receive your application to go along with it. Spend time on your essays. We read each application very carefully and learn a lot about you from them. Proofread them, make sure there are no typos. The application is available on our website, and if you have any questions about it, you can email the admissions email right there, msihadmissions@post.bgu.ac.il. I also highly encourage you to visit our website. There's a lot of helpful information there. If you have any additional questions, email us. I will be sending out an email after today, so you have my contact information as well, and you can reach out directly to me. Also, I highly encourage you to visit our first year blogs. There'll be a new one posting again tomorrow. I post them pretty regularly, usually every week or two. But the students talk about so many things there, and it's really a great way to get their perspective on Beersheba, life in Israel, courses and curriculum, clinical experiences, and so forth. The students are very honest and blog about so many different things. It's really a great way to see their perspective and see if the MSIH is right for you. I want to mention again that a recorded copy of this webinar will be available online should you want to listen again or share it. Again, I want to thank everybody for their time and encourage you all to think about a career in global health. Thanks for joining us, and this concludes our webinar for today.